Sure.
Years ago, my sister-in-law and I were talking about death, and she said when she dies, she just wants to be cremated, no funeral, nothing. And I said, her name's Kayreen, and I said, Kayreen, that's really the last time you get to share the gospel, because at the funeral, people are thinking of life and death, and the gospel is presented for the last time in your life. I think it's just an opportunity. Well, that was very brought forth to me this week. Everybody knows Levi Robertson, Pastor Levi Robertson. Well, his son-in-law passed away this last week. I don't know, it's been a while, maybe a week and a half, but his funeral was this week. And I didn't know him. I know a lot of the family members, but I didn't know him. And he left behind 3 little babies, and he was only 33, and he just dropped over dead of a heart attack. And he worked at the hospital, but not really for the hospital. I guess he did a lot of orthopedic joints and stuff and sold those. They shut down the whole operating room. They shut down the doctor that I worked beside in the Cathcart, and Dr. Bowman's office, and they all went to the funeral. There were over 400 people at that funeral. And I know a lot of people, a lot of the doctors that are Mormons that went, and non-believers, and I guess he just had a real impact on everybody. And my friend David that works at the lab, he was his best friend, and he took like 3 days off because he was just really a mess. But they said that the gospel was so presented there, and that there was just such a testimony. And Levi, I guess, had been preaching on heaven and what it's like to go to heaven and the vast grace of God. And he said in the funeral, I guess he said, who would have thought we would need this vast grace of God at this time, And David said he says, after that funeral, he goes, I was ready to go to heaven. And I just thought, wow, what a testimony. And don't forget that funerals are important. They are. I was just like so excited that all these doctors that I knew, not personally, but I know of, that were there, that heard the gospel, that would never ever hear the gospel. So I thought that was pretty good.
Well, we can continue to pray that the gospel that went forth would cause the effect in the heart that God would intend for it, and that they would come to know Him through that. Amen. I had not heard about that. I hadn't heard of his passing. Yeah. Any other testimonies? It's hard to beat a testimony like that in the Lord, isn't it? Yeah. Anybody want to share? Any others? Okay, I'm gonna bring Kurt up.